We protect you from what lives in the sewers. You should be terrified. The final part. More and more mass creatures formed, rising out of the sludge. No matter how many we blasted apart, they reformed, pulling themselves together like living mud. 2 more men were dragged down, swallowed whole, swept away like pebbles in a rushing stream. Nothing stopped these things. We have to run, a young guy in a baseball cap yelled. You stay right here, the bearded man roared, grabbing him by the coat. Oliver. The cans. I don't know how Oliver heard him through all the screaming and gunfire, but he looked up and nodded. I was right beside him, stomach in knots, hands shaking, but still loading and firing. My pockets were running out of shells fast, and panic was taking over. I felt just like that kid in the baseball cap. Like this was the end. 3 more men were swallowed by the mass creatures. They weren't fast, they weren't even especially strong, but they were impossible to kill. Every time we tore a piece off them, the sludge pulled itself back together in seconds. That's when something happened I never expected. Oliver kicked open a small metal panel in the wall. It didn't hide pipes. It didn't hide reinforcement bars. It hid cans. At least 20 of them. Each one rigged with a pull pin. Oliver grabbed one, ripped out the pin, and hurled it into the mass with the strength of a damn Olympic hammer thrower. The greenish can hit the ground, and exploded. A blinding column of fire shot upward. Even from behind cover, the heat wave scorched my face, burning the air in my lungs. The entire chamber lit up with flame, screams, and shrapnel. And the fight kept going. Come on, help with the cans. Oliver screamed at me when he saw the shells spill out of my shaking hands. I just stared at him, frozen. Oliver was firing his rifle one-handed while digging for another can with the other. I had to pull myself together. I grabbed my dad's shotgun, swallowed my fear, and sprinted over to him. From the wall recess, I yanked out one of the cans. The smell of gasoline hit me instantly. It was a heavy, nearly full 5-gallon can. Pull the pin and throw it, Oliver shouted when he saw me fumbling. The pin finally gave way. I spun, hurled the can with everything I had, and it flew straight into the chaos. It exploded almost the moment it hit the floor. A column of fire tore upward, swallowing everything around it. For one heartbeat, I froze. It felt like time stopped. Everything was burning. One of our guys caught fire. He screamed and staggered before collapsing. Another was fighting for his life as mass creatures climbed onto him one after another. A third was already half consumed, his body sinking into the sludge. The stench of burning flesh mixed with the sizzling stink of the creatures filled the chamber. That's when it hit me how few of us were left, and how real the chance was that this chamber would become our grave. Chuck, wake up, move. Oliver yanked me back into reality. He tossed another can toward me. Throw them, go. On autopilot, I pulled another pin, spun, and sent the next can flying. Another explosion. More flames. The heat tore at my skin, but the mass creatures just kept pouring out of the hall. Every chunk we blasted off them only melted back together. God damn it, Oliver shouted. I finally saw why. 2 mass creatures had reached him. One wrapped around his ankle, the other coiled up his arm. Their bodies were swallowing him whole. Oliver, give me your hand. I screamed, grabbing at him, trying to pull him free. Get out of here, kid, he roared, shoving me away with his free arm. Run, all of you. Then, with the last strength he had left, he dragged himself toward the remaining cans. I knew exactly what he was about to do. There were still at least 10 of them hidden in the wall. Come on. The bearded man grabbed my shoulder. Fall back. Everyone out. Everything blurred after that. We ran through the corridor, water splashing under our boots. From the 20 or so men who'd been with us, barely 7 of us were left. I glanced back one last time, and then the explosion hit. The entire chamber lit up in a blinding roar, shaking the tunnel so hard dust fell from the ceiling. Flames shot all the way to the top of the reservoir. Oliver stayed behind, but maybe, just maybe, he stopped the monsters. I sat on the edge of the cold concrete. The wastewater trickled beneath my boots, flowing slowly back toward the chamber, back toward the nightmare we'd barely escaped. You all right, Chuck? The bearded man asked, stepping up beside me. Yeah, I think so, I muttered. The stench still clung to the inside of my nose. Burned flesh, the sour rot of those sludge creatures, the acidic stink of fire and death. I could still feel the heat on my face, still taste the scorched air in my lungs. Rest, he said, patting my shoulder. You earned it. Silence settled over us. What were those things? I finally asked. The filth that comes from above, he said without hesitation. Everything people flush away. I didn't respond. What could I have said? For so long I thought we were guarding against invisible threats, that this job was more metaphor than reality. But today proved everything. I looked up. Sounds drifted down from above, filtered through an iron manhole cover. Light flickered across the damp concrete, and it sounded like 1,000 people were shouting at once. Fireworks. Happy New Year, kid, an old man said beside me, forcing a tired smile. He was clutching his hand in pain. The burns were impossible to miss, his skin raw and red, still glowing with heat. "Happy New Year to you too," I muttered, staring at his hand a second too long before looking away. I tilted my head up again. Through the gaps in the cover, bursts of color flashed, reds, blues, golds, painting the sewer ceiling in brief, beautiful light. Up there, people were cheering, hugging, kissing, making promises they wouldn't keep. Down here, the wastewater kept flowing. And so did we. I watched the last firework fade and realized something that made my chest tighten. As long as they were celebrating up there, we would never be done down here.